Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the nice welcome. Okay, so I've been hearing a lot of insightful information that is floating throughout the day. Where I come from is slightly, I would say, from the cybersecurity, as you heard. But at the same time, I just want to emphasize on key parameters because cybersecurity is very diverse, right? We talk about so many parameters that is evolving around the security postures. So what you can expect in probably next 15 minutes is I will be focusing on two important parameters: how you would manage the identities, because as you can see here, the fraud begins with identity compromise. With so much of technology that is evolving, a deep fakes what we hear, right? So having a proper security mechanism to protect your identities matters, right? And the second part would be in terms of authentication, right? End of the day, whether we unlock our phone or access any application, the first thing that we do is we authenticate, right? We verify our identity and then carry out the authentication. So these are the two segments that I would be focusing probably next 10 minutes, right? So before I just go to the topic which I just shared, just let me give you a quick overview about what we do at Thales, right? Thales is a French company, and again we have got presence in over 68 countries. As far as the India presence is concerned, we go back to almost 70 years, right? We started as a defense company, but now we have spread across to many other verticals, right? In fact, the part that I want to highlight here is in terms of the kind of investment that we are doing around bringing the new technology and adapting it to the current requirements, right? So we work in three segments. One is aerospace, defense, and digital identity and security, right? So I'm sure while defense and aerospace is kind of classified for us, let me elaborate what we do around data security and identity. A simple example, I'm sure most of you would have used the DigiYatra in T2, right? How many of you have noticed Thales over there? When you are entering, it says identifying and then it says welcome, so and so, right? All you have to do is just go, just smile, and the door opens for you, right? That's the identity verification that we offer. Very simple solution, right? It makes your job much more easy instead of opening the card, showing, and the security guy who's verifying your parameters. And there is always a room of human error, right? But with technology coming in, right, we verify your identity, just a smile, and the door opens for you. Right, that's something which one of the key aspects that we have captured over here, the DigiYatra solution, and we have extended the same capability in different parameters as well, especially in the finance vertical, right? When we are trying to onboard a new customer or when you're carrying out any transaction, we make sure that the identity is verified and then the right person gets the access, and we try to minimize the frauds. So what we do is something which I'll try to highlight. Just a kind of overview about our capabilities, right? So these are the few numbers. We globally, we support close to 30,000 plus companies, wherein we help them manage their identities and data, right? It can be in terms of their PIN management, key management, that is for your encryption, and also from the authentication stories, right? It can be for your employees, or it can be for your consumers, or for your business partners, right? The other important parameter here is we work very closely with almost all the leading banks. I'm sure that if you've done any transactions, right, whether it is your online transaction or if you used your debit cards in the ATM, that the end-to-end encryption that happens, there is every possibility that it would be landing onto some Thales device, right? Because we have got quite a few coverage, and I'm sure the Thales HSMs are well known. We are extending the same capability in terms of performance, in terms of the trust that we bring in to the other segments. It can be around the authentication and also in terms of identity verification, right? Globally, at any given point of day, we manage around 5 trillion inter-bank fund transfers, right? That's a volume that we are managing across the globe. This number is just to reiterate that Thales as a solution or as an organization can be trusted, especially in the critical segments that we are currently dealing, right? One more point that I want to bring in here is with the recent acquisition of Imperva, that just emphasizes that our focus in cybersecurity, right? It was a $1 billion investment from our side, but it just goes to show that we are committed towards delivering a good cybersecurity solution to our customers, right? Now, just coming to today's discussion, right? I've been hearing throughout the day so far that we talk about regulation, we talk about risk that we carry. So I have tried to list few things over here that primarily around the challenges. I'm sure most of you would be able to resonate with these parameters. In the interest of time, I have highlighted few aspects which I feel that would be kind of relevant over the next couple of years, right? To begin with, let me start with the RBI advisory, which is OTP less, right? This is kind of very appealing, right? We know, okay, passwords have been one of the most vulnerable component. We replace with OTP, but we know how OTP is getting exploited. A simple social engineering attack can lead to OTP compromise, right? Somebody just calls up, and especially we are hearing from quite a few years now that just a small OTP compromise and you end up losing a significant amount of the money or whatever is involved. So RBI is kind of aware of this, and we are aware that they are trying to bring in some technology which would eliminate these kind of or probably dependency on OTP. So we do offer quite a few capabilities wherein we can offer an OTP-less transaction, whether you are signing into your application or you are carrying out any transactions, right? Especially the high volume transaction, without having any dependency on OTPs, we can actually make sure that you do the transaction successfully and seamlessly, right? That's one topic that I want to bring in. The other thing, which is kind of hot topic, is the consent management or DPDP, right? There's been a lot of discussion that's happening. I'm sure by in next couple of months, we will start implementing DPDP in our respective organizations, right? Again, taking a step back in terms of DPDP, we feel that this would be a kind of extension of what we have seen from GDPR, right? Again, Thales being a French company, in fact, GDPR was something which emerged in that region, right? They started enforcing GDPR, especially keeping the customer data into account, especially in the privacy segment. Definitely, we can bring in our expertise, and then I'm sure we should be able to address these parameters as well, right? Primarily around the consent management is something which we can expect from Thales, along with the data discovery and the classifications. And also from the security point of view, we talked about the phishing attacks, right? Obviously, this is kind of closely related to the identity compromise, right? Somebody impersonating you, right? Somebody is trying to hijack your session and then leading to the compromise. So we have certain capabilities wherein we make sure that there is no, or we reduce the phishing attacks that happens, right? How we do it, it can be a simple ID verification, that whenever you're doing a transaction, we make sure that your identity is verified, and along with certain other parameters, maybe from where the request is coming, what is the device history associated with it, and if there is any kind of suspicious activity that we foresee using our sophisticated algorithms. The moment we see any kind of deviation from the regular pattern, we just flag it off, and then we can actually go for some kind of step-up authentication, which would actually eliminate or probably reduce the risk that or any kind of fraudulent activity that can be happening during that session, right? And of course, there are few more parameters that we can cover, right? We have listed few things here, but we are open to hear from you people, right? Because end of the day, we want to understand the customer's pain point and how well we can actually collaborate and address the security challenges, right? Now, just moving on in terms of the digital journey, we can actually help you to cover both your internal users, primarily your employees, or if you have any customer-facing applications. It can be with regards to B2C, you have got any customer-facing application, or it can be B2B, maybe you are managing with your partner ecosystem, right? I'm sure NBFC as a segment, you work with so many partners, wherein you have to open up your application access or probably open up certain APIs to third parties to access your resources, right? How are you going to manage those identities, right? And of course, if you talk about the gig economy, right? I'm sure there is a lot of discussion that is happening that moving forward, organizations want to invest something around the gig workers, not having a full-fledged employees, right? So we are seeing a lot of acceptance towards the gig economy, right? And whenever you're trying to get into that aspect, you have to make sure that you protect their identities end to end, because there's sort of changes that would be happening. It's a very dynamic changes, and you have to make sure that you have got robust controls in place so that you are prepared to handle those kind of scenarios. Probably I'll just take a couple of points over here. If I talk about the employee access, we talk about the single sign-on, we talk about the passwordless authentication, right? We all know the passwords are one of the most vulnerable component for any organization to manage, but by adopting or probably looking forward for a much more secure technology, which is passwordless, right? Wherein we eliminate dependency on a text-based password and go with much more a method which is much more secure, right? It can be OTP, it can be something around the biometrics, right? Wherein obviously with less dependency on password, you should be able to access the resources securely, right? And also, again, being a regulated organization, there is a good amount of expectation to have something on-premise. So at Thales, we try to balance in terms of deployment, whether you're looking for a cloud offering with all the regulations in place, or you prefer to stay on-premise, we can support both the form factors, right? So whatever solution that I've spoken so far, right, whether it is identity compromise or authentication, it can be a mix of both on-premise as well as through the cloud. Certain services require cloud access, but majority of them, especially around the authentication, we can deliver on-premise, right? That's more or less around the employees, or what we call as B2E. The other segment is the B2C, right? B2C or B2B. So again, there are a few additional parameters that comes into picture, especially around the logins, right? So you have to make sure that it's a seamless login experience. Like the moment you just try to sign up on your application, it has to be quite user friendly. Right? You cannot just spend too much of time asking so many details, right? Make sure that you onboard the customer as soon as possible in a much more secure way and in a much more compliant way, right? Especially when you're capturing the personal information, make sure that you take proper acceptance, or probably the consent is captured, because again, if I bring P in place, whenever you're capturing personal information, it has to be done in a compliant way, and eventually at the end, if somebody wants to leave, the right to leave, right, it has to again go through a proper process, right? You have to make sure that all the information which they have shared is removed or deleted properly, right? So in between sign up and login, you've got a lot of activities, right? Whether in terms of doing some kind of transaction or authorization, right? That's where we have certain capabilities, which I'm going to cover probably in my next slide, which actually covers your entire onboarding journey, right? Right from access to authorization, and eventually if you want to leave the application or exit the application, the entire journey can be effectively managed, right? How do we do it, especially when we talk about the digital journeys? It all starts with the sign up, right? You say, okay, nowadays, especially in the current context, everyone would have some kind of social media footprint, right? In case if they want to bring their own identity, okay, I have something on Gmail, or I have something on my as a Microsoft account. Can I bring those identities during my sign up process, right? That's what we call as social logins, right? That's something which we can support, or what we call as bring your own identity. So you can just have some identity footprint and then you just bring it on board, right? And when you're onboarding, we make sure that there is no suspicious or malicious activity happening. So with document verification and liveness detection, we make sure that there is no impersonation happening. That's what I just spoke in between in terms of identity verification, right? Fraud begins with identity compromise, but if you have a proper control during the sign up, you can definitely enhance your security posture. Right, once you onboard, right, then comes the authentication, right? Again, it has to be seamless. We talk about the passwordless journey. We talk about strong customer authentication, wherein you authenticate with a stronger source, right? Not just depending on password, or not only depending on OTPs, probably a combination of what you know, what you have, and what you are. That's a thumb rule for authentication, right? Leveraging those capabilities, we make sure that your authentication is seamless, it is phishing resistant, and again, open up the possibility of having a single sign-on. You've got multiple products, you authenticate once and you access the resources securely, right? Then comes once you are inside the application, once you're trying to access certain details, it's all about authorization, right? Whether you have got the right privilege, the right details to access any resources, right? That's something which we can cover during the authorization. And also, if you want to delegate it to certain third parties, or probably what we call as B2B access, right? Your business is communicating to another business vertical, and then you have to delegate certain activities. So we have got a full-fledged module that covers the delegation. And finally, from the compliance point of view, somebody says, look, I want to delete my account, or I want to get back my data. We have to make sure that that is also addressed. So this is in general what we see as a digital journey. To address these parameters, we have built a lot of modules, right? So first thing is orchestration layer, right? In terms of how you onboard the customers, how you manage their preferences, right? And also how you profile their accounts, right? On the first login, I cannot just say, okay, I'll ask all the information, right? Probably I take what is relevant to begin their journey, and once they start accessing the application over the period of time, I build their profile. That's something what we call as progressive profiling, right? That would actually greatly enhance the customer retention and also the customer satisfaction, right? And of course, from the data security point of view, we talked about the fraud management, we talked about data discovery, and also from the cloud adoption point of view, right? If they want to bring their own key, or if they want to the HYOK, hold your own key, right? This is something which Thales has been doing from ages, right? Almost every bank whom you might be interacting, they would be having some Thales footprint, especially around the key management or around the encryption solution. The same thing can be extended to the application access as well, right? Finally, we have got host of platform. We talk about the certificate-based access. We talk about the OTP-based solution. FIDO is something which is getting a lot of acceptance, especially around the phishing resistant. That's something which we can offer, right? Here's a classic example how one can leverage our solution. A simple example: the customer is trying to request, he initiate request for onboarding, right? During this process, we can create some kind of checks, right? Whether it's identity verification or affirmation, right? If you have a lot of policy engines in place, maybe I want to verify whether it is part of any blacklisted data, or if I want to do some kind of biometric match before I verify the identity, right? And also from the fraud prevention, right? So that's something which we can bind together using our orchestration layer, and eventually you can have a successful and seamless onboarding experience, right? So my time is up, but in case if you would like to know more about what I've discussed so far, the challenges that I have highlighted over here, we are right here, right next to this stage. So we would be more than happy to engage with you people, understand the challenges and how well we can collaborate and address that, right? So before I just wrap up, here's a kind of recognition that we carry, right? We have been at the leadership position, whether it is the passwordless management or in terms of consumer identity and access management, right? So we have been rated as a leader in most of the third-party reports. It is available for us to share. It's there in the public domain as well, right? So with this, I'll just conclude my short presentation. I hope this was informative. Again, before I wrap up, identity is something which is very important. Fraud begins with identity, right? It's always essential to have a strong posture during the sign up, and then the modern authentication is something which you have to adopt, whether it is for your employees or for your consumers, right? So anything that around this, you find it relevant, find it interesting, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are more than happy to engage and collaborate. Thank you.